What's going on, everybody? And welcome to J Sports Seattle. It's been a while, guys. I know. It's been quite a while. What has it been? It's been like at least a month since my last video, if not more. Uh, it's been pretty dead. This is probably the most swamped I've ever been in my young life so far. So, um, I'm still in school. I'm in my final semester at Arizona State. So I've been extremely swamped just trying to get everything straightened out and make sure I graduate in May. But with what's been going on today, I just cannot go any longer without making a video. So I have to talk about what's been going on today. Let's get into it. So if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more Seahawks and Seattle sports content. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. So firstly, before we get into the main news, I got to go over this because since it happened recently yesterday as of the making of this video. We released 4 people, which cleared up in $27 million in cap space, which put us from over the cap to under the cap in a pretty good amount too. We were, I think, after we released these guys, before I go into what happened, who we released next. We were about $16 million in cap space. But we released, for those of you who don't know, we released Roy Robertson Harris. We released Rayshawn Jenkins, George Fant, and we also released Draymond Jones. Rayshawn Jenkins, I kind of figured he would either get traded or get released. After I saw that the Seahawks gave him permission to seek a trade, I knew that he was probably going to get cut because that's usually what happens. I had a feeling this could have happened too. He was kind of useful though because he would eat up a lot of the blocks on the defensive line for Leonard Williams and basically for Leonard Williams, yeah. And I guess for the edge rushers like Boye Mafe and Derek Hall. But Jenkins got hurt. He was good in the first half, and then he got hurt, and then he just wasn't able to go back to how he was playing in the first half. So that's understandable that we released him. And then, like I said, Roy Robertson Harris, he got released after I think we traded for him. I think we traded for him from the Jaguars. And then George Fant, he was released. I mean, it was just unfortunate because he was just hurt most of the year. But even when he did play, I don't think he played the best. He played serviceable at best. But these were much-needed cap-clearing moves. We needed to make these moves. $27 million against the cap. That's really, really good. We needed to do that. And it says right now the Seahawks are around as of this article before the next person got released that I'm about to talk about, $20.5 million under the cap. That was before releasing. I'm just gonna talk about it. I can't not talk about it any longer. So this was expected. The Seahawks released Tyler Lockett. I knew it was gonna happen. I think everyone who follows the Seahawks vehemently, or at least more than casually, knew that Lockett was gonna get released. It's been a hell. I need to talk about this for a second because this is a huge day, and it's just because it's sad. It's a huge day because it's sad for the Seahawks. I need to talk about Tyler Lockett, man. It's been one hell of a past decade with you, man. Like 10 years of consistent, borderline, all-pro, wide receiver play. Like, he has come in clutch in so many times, so many great toe taps. He's one of the best toe tappers of all time. That's not up for debate. This dude was here through the thick and thin. Like, I just hate that he was drafted a year after the Patriots Super Bowl. This dude never, ever sniffed an NFC championship, and I feel bad for him. This dude deserved to get a ring because of how well he is. Yes, he's not like your Justin Jeffersons or your Jamar Chases, but he's like your Julian Edelman. Guys who will consistently put up stats and consistently be clutch. He was just one of those guys that was always there when you needed him. He dropped four consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, and that was only done by one other wide receiver in franchise history, and that was Steve Largent before my time. And this dude has set franchise records. I mean, he set the most receptions in a season, which was tied by JSN this year. And he's second all-time in touchdowns, second all-time in receiving yards. Like, this dude is a legend, and he will no doubt be in the Seahawks Ring of Honor. If he is not in the Ring of Honor, there will be riots. I will be a part of that riot, but there will be riots. He will be in the Ring of Honor, though, because of how great he was. Yes, he didn't make any All-Pros as a receiver, but this dude consistently showed up and showed out. And I appreciate everything that you have done for this team, Tyler Lockett, and I wish you nothing but the best. I did, I know there are some talks about him potentially coming back on a cheaper deal. That is a possibility, although I think it is unlikely, just due to the fact that normally you wouldn't want to re-sign with the team that just released you, because, a lot of players can and will take that personal. And they'll be like, oh, you don't want me? Well, okay, then I'm just going to go play for another team. It's very rare that you ever see a player released by a team and then re-sign with that team. It just unless they're that serious about committing to the future, either they're loyal to the soil or they believe they can still win the championship. That's there you go. I mean that can happen. I just don't think in this case it'll happen. But you never know. We'll see what happens. But if he does not come back to Seattle, I wish him nothing but the best. And you, Tyler Lockett, are one of the best Seahawks players of all time. And you're going to be missed. You will be missed. I already miss you. And yes, it's a really sad day for all parties, fans, you, and the Seahawks. It just sucks that it has to end. But I know all good things have to come to an end. So, and then I don't want to. Then it's just one thing after the other. As soon as that happened, you'd think that we already went through enough by having Lockett being released. Then DK Metcalf requested a trade. Whew. So you know how the NFL stands for National Football League, but it stands for a lot of other things. It stands for No Fun League. A lot of people call it the No Felon League. You go shout out KTO. But one thing that it stands for that a lot of diehard NFL fans know is that it stands for not for long. We had the best wide receiver trio in 2023. And then a year after, we're going to be having one of the worst wide receiver cores in the league. Or actually, best wide receiver core, I should say, in the league. And then now after, we'll now have one of the worst. Because Tyler Lockett got released, and now DK Metcalf is most likely going to be traded now. That's not good. That's not good. I mean, the reason being is because of, just of what happened earlier. We released Lockett, and now we're going to be out our wide receiver 2 in DK. So, now he's wide receiver 2 because JSN is clearly now wide receiver 1. So now you don't have anybody else on the roster that can play well or fill in their shoes behind JSN. I want to say Jake Bobo, but I just do not think he has what it takes to be a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3. He hasn't even really done much as wide receiver 4. He got out-targeted by A.J. Barner this year by a lot, and that's got to tell you something. I understand that, he was undrafted compared to Barner being drafted in the 4th round, but Barner's a tight end, so that's a little alarming. I just do not think Jake Bobo has what it takes to take it to the next level, be what DK was or what Lockett was. He has had a couple nice plays, don't get me wrong. He has had a nice few catches, nice few toe taps, but he's never been targeted, and that probably means because he's not getting open, and therefore not getting a lot of playing time. He is a good blocker. I will give him that because of his size, but if all you have to offer as a wide receiver is blocking, That's what tight ends are for. You can transition to tight end, I guess, but I feel like he could have more success at tight end. We'll see. But I digress. This is not a good day for Seahawks, for Seahawks fans, for the Seahawks themselves, because the main thing we had to fix going into the offseason was the O-line. Now we have to fix O-line, and then now we have to worry about wide receiver. And this wide receiver class, it wasn't as good as last year or the past couple years, but it's not, it's okay. You might be able to get McMillan, but he's probably going to go, if you want to get him at the 18th pick, you can, and then use your second and third round picks and whatever picks you get from DK to get offensive linemen, maybe. But who knows? McMillan could go higher than 18th. He could go top 10. He can go top 15. So we can't bank on him being available. But we don't really want to have to put ourselves in a position where we have to worry about more and more positions. But, I mean, then again, that is out of our control. And like I said, it is the, NFL, not for long. So this can be franchise altering, and we'll see what happens from here on out. But if I see that, I've been seeing that there is a chance that we will not be able to get anything higher than a third round pick. If I'm John Schneider, I wouldn't go for that, and I think he hasn't been going for that. That's the reason why DK hasn't been traded at all recently, or even thought about putting him on the trade block. But we have to at least get a second. If we can get a second for him, that's fine. Or like a second and maybe like a late round pick in next year's draft or something, that's fine. Like a second rounder this year and a fourth rounder next year or something like that. I can live with that. Especially if they take DK's salary, then that's totally fine. I'm sure we have to pay some of his salary, but if they can take care of his salary, then I'm okay with a second and a fourth rounder. I can live with that. Then we can use that to draft an offensive lineman or potentially another running back. Maybe not running back, but another position of need. Now wide receiver, so we could draft another wide receiver. I mean, DK was picked in the second round, so if we can get a second rounder in return for him, that would be a massive W for the Seahawks. Me personally, I'm assuming he's going to be traded. I want him to be traded to an AFC team like we did with Russell Wilson. I do not want him to be traded to the Packers. That'd be rough because in the same conference, we got Packers and us got a little beef. But I just don't want him to go into. I just don't want him to be in the same conference. So if he can go to the AFC, I've been seeing the Chiefs. I've been seeing the Bills. Maybe not the Chiefs. I would just extend their dynasty. But honestly, it doesn't matter as long as we get picks, or good picks, I should say, good draft capital. This is just massive for this team, and I feel like Kubiak would probably wanted to work with DK because of how physical he is. Mike loved DK. He raved about DK at the combine and how much he wanted to work with him still. I just think that my thinking is that he wants to be paid like a top 5 wide receiver, but the thing is he hasn't been playing like a top 5 wide receiver. He didn't even reach 1,000 yards this year. So why would we want to pay you $30 million a year if you can't even crack 1,000 yards? That's Justin Jefferson. That's borderline Justin Jefferson money right there. If you're giving us consistent 1,000-yard seasons, all right, understandable. But I think that's one thing that the teams that are looking to trade for him are going to be looking at, and that could potentially tank his draft stock just a little bit because he has the physical traits of being one of the best wide receivers in the league, but he just hasn't put it together. And that could be our fault. Maybe we just haven't been using him correctly. But he has ran incorrect routes. He does, draw penalties. He's a hothead, and he can make some mistakes. So that could, teams can look at that and they'll be like, maybe we'll give you a third rounder, but we won't give you anything higher than that. And we want to give something higher than that because he was literally in the Pro Bowl a couple of years ago. So I don't want to I don't want to, ship him out for a third round in exchange for a third round pick, and then he goes and freaking blows up and has an All-Pro season, that would just cost cost John Schneider his job. So I'm sure they want to be able to at least get a second rounder out of it. So we'll see what happens there. That's a huge thing right there, man. And like we're kind of in a tough spot now. So I mean, but on the bright side, depending on how we do things, if we trade Metcalf post June 1st, we would only absorb $13.9 million in dead money compared to 21 in dead money before June 1st. So that would be able to save us $18 million in cap space, which we can use to sign a lot of people. And especially on the O-line, offensive line, maybe we can get another wide receiver if we wanted to. Maybe another, I don't know, wherever we need holes at. Or wherever we have holes at, I should say. I mean, because overall, I feel like, safety we're good. We got Kobe Bryant. We got Julian Love. Those two are good. And then maybe if Jarek Reed can somehow can get himself, he's a 6th-round pick. So I'm not gonna expect too much from him. I believe he's still on the roster, but yeah, we got Kobe Bryant and Julian Love at the safety position. We can always draft a safety. We got Woolen and Witherspoon at the cornerback slots, and we can always get more cornerbacks. We got defensive tackle. We got Leonard Williams. We got Byron Murphy, edge. We got Uchenna Nwosu, who I think we're going to be trying to stay with, and we could even extend to lower his cap hit for 2025, or this year, I should say. Defensively, we are okay. Offensively is where we're going to struggle a bit, and I think that's where where we will spend most of our money is on the offense. And I feel like we'll draft defense and then, sign offense. And then, linebackers, we got Tyrese Knight, we got Ernest Jones. And I think we will re-sign Ernest Jones. I just saw that he had successful knee surgery and is now just in rehab. But if we right now, here actually I should have brought this up earlier. Over the cap. So cap space. So right now, after the Tyler Lockett release, we're at $32 million. So if we were to trade Metcalf post June 1st, assuming we don't sign anybody up until then, which I'm sure we will have $50 million in cap space, which will put us in the top 15. And that's what that's fine because, like I said, we can use all that money, that extra money, to sign more free agents and to more needs. So, I'm on the fence. I'm kind of on the fence about trading Metcalf because he is a great wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver. Don't get me wrong, but if he's winning $30 million a year for his production, it's not worth $30 million a year. Maybe 25. I'd be willing to give him 25 a year, and I think that's probably what the Seahawks have been thinking about and telling him, and they won't budge on that. 25 is fine, but anything higher than that, I mean, he hasn't really shown that he deserves $30 million a year. So, and then when he came back from injury, he didn't really do much. He would miss 2.5 games or 2 games or something like that, and he didn't really do too much. I remember there was he went 8 weeks or something like that without a touchdown pass. Or a touchdown reception. That's I don't know, man. So we'll see what happens, but overall this has been a pretty tumultuous day for the Seahawks. A pretty emotional day. Hopefully, this is just a little blip, and then we can figure things out down the line. But as of today, it's a pretty rough day for Seahawks fans and the Seahawks organization. So, but we'll see what happens. I mean, the draft is about a month and a half-ish away. So, I think. Hold up. Yeah, a month and a half away. So, we'll see what happens. And it's it's it is sad, but some of these things are just business decisions, especially with Lockett. Like that was a business decision. Like, yeah, for this nostalgia, you want to keep him, but in terms of business, you have to release him just because of that cap hit. So it's a good thing that we were able to get that out of the way because that would have been really bad. So, but I think that's all I have for this video. I do not know when I'm going to be able to make a video next. I just needed to talk about this stuff. Maybe when I get closer to graduation, like all my classes are good to go, I'll probably have a lot more time. And then the job I have is seasonal, so after this ends probably in April, I will be able to, have a little bit more free time. So, but yeah, like I said, this is all I have for this video. If you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more Seahawks and Seattle sports content. Thank you for stopping by. Have a good night, and go Hawks, go Mariners, and go Kraken.